is the Savage Nation. So I woke this morning. I was awakened by an earthquake. I don't know if you lived through. It was amazing. I thought I was dreaming. I was in a I had a fitful night. 5:33 a.m. Bang! I felt the bed move. No pun intended. And really, like a boom, like a real bang. Really. The dog didn't bark. The dogs, I have 3 dogs in the house. The dog didn't bark. And it was a small earthquake, but I'll tell you, the house shook. 2.9 earthquake, 5:33 a.m., followed 8 seconds later by magnitude 4.0 quake. And apparently it startled some of those in the gutters of San Francisco from their stupor, from their makeshift shelters. The cardboard collapsed around them. San Francisco earthquakes rattled Bay Area residents. All right, so what can you say about it? How are you going to talk about an earthquake? It's just, there it goes again. You know, at the moment when I thought, I said, look at this. I'm sitting here worrying about in my brain this, that, this. I said, the earth could open up and swallow the entire area. And no one would see us again. Or you think of Vesuvius, Mount Vesuvius, right? Or you think of any of the other earthquakes or volcanic eruptions in the history of mankind, or the comet smashes. We were sitting here 1 minute, the next minute, who knows, right? We don't know what's coming tomorrow. You know, what is that? It turns you, I don't know, does it make you into what, an existentialist? I really never liked Sartre. He was a phony. I never actually understood existentialism. I studied it. I tried to make believe I understood it. I wore a black beret. I wore a black turtleneck. I bought Galois. I thought maybe I'd meet a woman that way as a kid in college if I said Sartre existentialism and wore a black turtleneck. I still don't even understand existentialism. I mean, does that render God meaningless because an earthquake might swallow an entire city? I really don't know. Who are you going to believe in? ABC? You're going to worship Mammon? You have to believe in something, as my mother said. So what's the difference if it's a fantasy? Let's assume it's a fantasy for a minute. Let's say you're not really sure. Well, how do you lose by believing in God? I don't understand where the loss is. So you believe in the other side? What do you gain by that? You think you gain freedom? You wind up with a corrupt, degenerate, atheistic administration of the type we have today. It's because of the loss of God in America, which is a way why Santorum's been getting away with some of the sanctimony. Vladimir Putin's presidential victory draws protests. Observers call elections skewed. That's about as far as they'll go. Observers call elections skewed. They really don't want to get any polonium sandwiches. Okay, the Spetsnaz has a few thousand doses of the polonium sushi ready. Vladimir Putin's presidential victory draws protests. Observers call elections skewed. Some would call it screwed, but the most they'll say in Russia is it was skewed. All right, go home now. It's over. Go ahead. You had your fun. All right, out of Red Square. Go ahead. Go home now. The Soviet Union returns. We're back to the Soviet Union. The Russian Central Election Commission has canceled the results of the polling station in Dagestan after allegations of electoral violations. A webcam appeared to show several men standing, feeding dozens of ballots into a ballot box. They don't look like Black Panthers because the top of the picture is cut off. We haven't had that yet here. Since taking the office in 2000, Vladimir Putin has expanded the powers of Russia's presidency, consolidating authority in the White House, in the Kremlin, and weakening other democratic institutions. Sounds just like Obama. He's expanded the powers of Russia's presidency, like Obama, consolidated authority in the Kremlin, like Obama in the White House, and weakened other democratic institutions, like Obama. So we have the dictatorship that's emerged in America. Trickle-down tyranny. Whenever I see an Obama-Biden bumper sticker, I got to tell you, it's worse than an earthquake reaction in my head. When I see these self-righteous frauds driving around, primarily with slow-moving cars, when I see Obama, Biden, I want to start screaming. But I say, I have a radio show. I'm just going to give you the facts. I wrote a compendium of every insult to any decent person in America, Trickle-Down Tyranny, which will be out in a month, which you can buy and read. So I don't scream at anybody. But I can't imagine what you must feel when you see these self-righteous phonies driving around already with the Obama, Biden bumper stickers. Everybody in this country who has an IQ above 90 and is not tied into the government in some way knows how corrupt this administration is. I say that with absolute knowledge. When I see that even farmers in the Midwest who were robbed of $1.2 billion and can't buy seeds, and they're saying plainly to CNN reporters, Corzine's getting away with it because he's a major Democrat. The Justice Department won't prosecute him because he's a Democrat. When the farmers are saying it, I know that the heartland knows what's going on. I know it. I just know it. I don't expect to see it on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, or CNN. I don't. But I expect to know, I expect you to understand that you're not alone if you understand that this is the most corrupt, vile administration in American history. And I say to you, on what basis do I make such a statement? Go back, look up the Teapot Dome scandal, which when I was a schoolboy I learned is the worst case of corruption in American history. It pales by comparison to what goes on a regular basis under this gang. I've never seen anything like this. Every day there's another shock to the system, and which is part of the Alinsky playbook. If you keep shocking people with small shocks, eventually they become anesthetized, and they don't feel the big shock. They have no idea what happened to them. You understand how that works if you're an electrician. If you get small shocks, eventually you can take a big shock. And this administration shocks us on a daily basis with their audacity. I've never seen anything like this. But if we had an opposition party, I would retire, gain 40 pounds, and just float around on a boat until God decides to take me up there because he needs someone to talk to him. I don't know, maybe God's bored now. I don't know. I hope he's got someone else. Maybe Andrew's talking to him. Andrew might be entertaining God right now because of his honesty. Maybe he took him because he was too honest. Who knows? His outrage and his indignation was so out there that God said, okay, kiddo, it's time to join me. Because, you see, God isn't dead. God just moved away from America. He got tired of trying to make his way in this country. He saw what happened. And I don't want to get sanctimonious because then I'll sound like Santorum, and I don't want to start talking about prophylactics or condominiums. I really don't. I'd rather talk about condominiums than prophylactics, to be honest with you. I invite you to read and learn, and remember there is hope in America, and I'll tell you how I know there's hope. On a bicycle today, riding around, I paused to make a cell phone call to my producer, Beowulf, and I started to say, well, what I wanted to talk about today, and I started to yell into the cell phone. These sanctimonious liberals here in San Francisco, they don't even know $1.2 billion is missing. It's traced directly to a Corzine, according to the farmers. They're robbing the money from farmers. It's the most corrupt. It's Obama. But these people don't care. A woman, white woman, in a Toyota Prius, a white hair, middle-aged, looks at me, doesn't know who I am, and she says, I agree with you 100%. I am telling you the people know how corrupt this administration is. Never mind the smiley faces. Never mind Michelle and Barry. Never mind Rahm Emanuel. Never mind the propaganda machine called the media. The people do know. The problem is we have no opposition party. There is no Republican opposition whatsoever. They're not speaking out about these things that you want to hear about, right or wrong. Trickle down tyranny.
Savage.